What if I told you that 3 ordinary stones could feed an entire village? Impossible, you say? Well, let me tell you the tale of a traveler named Sage, who proved that the greatest magic isn't found in objects, but in the human heart. This is the story of stone soup. In a forgotten village surrounded by autumn fields, hard times had fallen. A poor harvest and a harsh winter had made the people cold and suspicious. Fear of running out of food turned neighbors into strangers. They locked their doors, hid their food, and trusted no one, not even each other. The village square, once filled with laughter and music, now stood silent and empty. Into this lonely place walked a traveler named Sage, with worn boots, a patched coat, and a rumbling stomach. He had been walking for 3 days without a meal. Sage knocked on the first cottage door. It belonged to Greta, a stern woman with sharp eyes and crossed arms. "Good evening, ma'am. I've traveled far and wondered if you might spare a bit of bread or soup," Sage asked politely. Greta's eyes narrowed. "Spare? Spare? Do I look like I have anything to spare? The harvest was poor, stranger. We barely have enough for ourselves. Try the next house," she said sharply. And she slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. At the next cottage, Sage met Peter the farmer, a cautious man who kept one hand on his door ready to close it. "Sir, I don't need much. Even a potato or carrot would," Sage began. "Can't help you," Peter interrupted. "My crops failed. My cupboard's nearly bare. Best move along before dark." The door closed with a firm click. Little Emma, a curious girl with bright eyes, watched from behind a fence as Sage walked towards the village square. She had never seen her neighbors turn away a hungry person before. But then again, everyone had been acting strange lately. Sage sat on the edge of the old stone well in the empty square. He was hungry, yes, but he had been hungry before. And he knew something these villagers had forgotten. People are more generous than they think they are. They just need a little inspiration. Sage stood up and spoke loudly. "Well then, if no one will share their food, I'll simply have to make my own dinner. I'll make stone soup." Sage gathered wood and built a fire in the center of the square. He found an old iron pot abandoned near the well, filled it with water from the pump, and hung it over the flames. By now Greta had opened her window a crack, watching. Peter had stepped out of his cottage, arms folded, curious despite himself. Sage reached into his pocket dramatically. "And now for the secret ingredient," he announced. He pulled out 3 smooth, round stones, grey and ordinary, and held them up to the fading sunlight as if they were precious jewels. "These stones have been in my family for generations. They hold an ancient magic. When properly prepared, they make the most delicious soup in all the land," Sage declared. He dropped each stone into the pot with a ceremonial plop, plop, plop. Little Emma couldn't contain herself. She ran into the square, her footsteps echoing on the cobblestones. "Sir, can stones really make soup?" she asked, breathless with wonder. Sage stirred the water with a long wooden spoon. "Oh yes, young lady. These are very special stones. The soup they make is quite good on its own, though I must tell you a secret," he replied. Emma leaned in closer. "What secret?" Sage whispered, but loud enough for others to hear. "The last time I made stone soup, a kind person added 3 carrots. And let me tell you, it transformed from good soup to magnificent soup. The flavor was unforgettable." Greta, still watching from her window, remembered the carrots in her cellar. They were just sitting there. 3 carrots wouldn't be missed. Greta appeared in the square, clutching 3 orange carrots. "I suppose these were going to rot anyway. Might as well put them to use," she said gruffly. Sage bowed graciously. "Madam, you are too kind. These will make all the difference." He took the carrots, chopped them with great ceremony, and added them to the pot. The water was beginning to steam now, and a faint aroma started to rise. "It's starting to smell good," Emma exclaimed excitedly. Sage stirred thoughtfully. "Indeed it is. You know, stone soup is wonderful with just stones and carrots. But I once had it with potatoes added, and that was the finest meal I ever tasted." Peter the farmer shifted his weight. He had potatoes, not many, but a few wouldn't hurt. Peter walked slowly to the pot carrying some potatoes. "I suppose these could go in? For the sake of the soup, you understand." "Not for you specifically," he said awkwardly. Sage grinned. Of course. The soup appreciates it greatly." As the potatoes splashed into the pot, the mayor emerged from the largest house on the square. He was a round man with a pocket watch and an important air. "What's all this commotion? What are people doing?" the mayor demanded pompously. "We're making stone soup, Mayor, and it's magic," Emma announced. The mayor scoffed. "Stone soup? Preposterous! Stones can't." But then the wind shifted, and the aroma from the pot reached his nose. His stomach growled loudly. The mayor cleared his throat. "Well, if you have potatoes and carrots, you really ought to have onion. Proper soup always has onion. I have 3 in my kitchen, for the sake of culinary standards." "How thoughtful, Mayor. Your contribution will be remembered," Sage said warmly. It was as if the dam had broken. Suddenly everyone wanted to add something to the soup. "I have celery and herbs, thyme and bay leaves," Greta called out. "I've got dried beans stored away. They'd be good in the soup," Peter added. "My mother has salt and pepper," Emma claimed. The mayor puffed up slightly. I may have exaggerated about my cupboards being bare. I have some beef bones and perhaps a bit of barley." One by one, the villagers brought their hidden treasures. The pot grew fuller and fuller, bubbling with vegetables, bean, meat, and herbs. The aroma filled the entire square, rich, warm, and inviting. And something else filled the square too: laughter. The villagers were talking to each other again, smiling, working together. As the stars appeared overhead, the soup was ready. The mayor brought out bowls. Greta brought bread. Peter brought his bench. Emma brought blankets to sit on. "Come everyone, the stone soup is ready," Sage announced, ladling soup into the bowls. They ate together, under the stars, the whole village, for the first time in years. The soup was delicious. The company was even better. "This is the best soup I've ever had. The stones are really magic," Emma declared between bites. Greta looked thoughtful. "Sage, were the stones truly magical?" she asked. Sage replied gently. "What do you think, Greta?" Peter's eyes widened with realization. "The stones didn't make the soup, did they? We did." "The stones are just stones. I could have picked them up from any road. The magic wasn't in them," Sage explained. "Then where was the magic?" the mayor asked. Sage looked around at all of them. "The magic was in all of you, in your carrots, in your potatoes, your onions, in your willingness to share. Alone, each of you had little. Together, you created a feast." "We were so worried about not having enough that we forgot we had more than enough to share," Emma said. Greta spoke softly. "We stopped trusting each other. We stopped being neighbors." The next morning, Sage prepared to leave. The whole village came to see him off. "Please stay. We'll feed you properly now," the mayor urged. "Thank you, but I must continue my journey. Others need to learn what you've learned," Sage replied. "What did we learn?" Emma asked. Sage knelt to her level. "That when people share what they have, no matter how small, everyone becomes richer. That walls and locked doors keep out more than strangers. They keep out joy, friendship, and community. And that sometimes we need a stranger to remind us that we are not alone." He reached into his pocket and pulled out 3 stones, now clean and dry. "I'm leaving these stones with you, not because they are magic, but to remind you that you are the magic. Every time you see them, remember this night," Sage said gently. He placed the stones in little Emma's hands. "Will you come back?" Emma asked. Sage smiled warmly. "Perhaps, but you don't need me. You have everything you need right here." And with that, Sage walked down the road towards his next adventure. The village was never the same. Neighbors helped neighbors, strangers were welcomed, and once a month the village gathered in the square to make the stone soup together. Not because they needed to, but because they wanted to. Because they had learned that the greatest wealth isn't what we keep for ourselves, but what we share with others. The end. Final thought. For those 3 stones, they still sit in the village square today, a reminder that magic isn't found in object, it's found in open hearts and open hands. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more tales every week. See you in the next trail.